mistakes were made. Welcome back. It's another Saturday at Land Cruiser Lane, and we are back on the Freeborn 40 big time this weekend. We're going to try to get all of these parts onto the truck, plus a few more. I have a few things that need to be restored, sandblasted, painted, things like that. So we're going to go through that whole process and try to get as many of these parts on the truck this weekend as we can. I got a shop pass from the wife, so no honeydews to sidetrack me. So let's get started and see how we do. The first thing we're going to tackle is the radiator. I'm going to blow it off and pressure wash it, and we're going to put a little paint remover on here and get that paint off of there so we can get a nice coat of black paint on top of the radiator and get that Hollywood side looking good. So yeah, the idea is we just take all this old paint off of here, give it a quick scuff, and then we can throw some black paint on there, and the old Craigslist rebuild will be complete. All right, we're going to let that cook for a little while. It's already coming up pretty good, and I think if we just leave it for a little bit, we can take it outside and wash off most of that paint. I did realize while I was doing this is not the original radiator. I suffer from a sickness that is around Land Cruiser parts, and that is, if I see something that looks like it's in pretty good shape and it's a pretty good price, I just cannot resist buying it. So I think I have 4 radiators that I got over the years, because someday I'm going to have a project where I need it. But this one's a good one. I just recently tested it where I put the pump-up-o-meter from O'Reilly on it and made sure that it held pressure, and it's pretty clean. When I rinsed it out, it was pretty clean. So I think it'll be okay, at least to get us started. We're going to pressure wash this now. It'll be too loud to chit chat, so enjoy the ASMR portion of the show. All right, let's let that dry out. I'm not feeling as good about that after looking at that backside again, though. That is pretty not good. A lot of holes in it. Yeah, we may be going on the interwebs. All right, first things first, make sure you put some gloves on before you use that paint remover. Man, my fingers are burning. I didn't even think I got any on there. Now, most people that do a desmog, they don't, all of these little vacuum switches are no longer really needed, right? And so what a lot of people do is they go to Home Depot, and for 39 cents they buy one of these plugs here. And they do screw in there, and if you put some tape on them and you really wrench down on them, they will seal, but they are not actually the correct threading. So I was able to get this one out, but I had to buy a tap to clean all the threads out to put the right plug in there. And that's one of these. They're called like British Standard Taper, something like that. I'll grab it and put it below here. But these are the right ones. They screw in nice and smooth, and this will run all the way down and probably have a few less problems. Plus, it's much prettier than this big old square plug sitting on top of here. So again, it's up to you. I know when I got my other one desmogged, they just unplugged these and just left them in there, so you can certainly do that too. Now, I'm not going to do a step-by-step on cleaning this and restoring this. Again, we're just going to throw this into the Restore-O-Matic 3000 and let it do the hard work. So let's do that now. Now, some of you eagle-eyed Land Cruiser guys might have noticed that was not the right thermostat housing for a 1979, but luckily the Restore-O-Matic 3000 has an upgrade feature where it'll upgrade it to the correct year. So we were lucky there. It also has a desmog feature, which takes out all the old vacuum plugs and puts these nice plugs in here. So it comes out real nice. All right, we'll be at the truck next. All right, let's see if we can do this all in one take. I'm gonna put a little RTV on both sides of this gasket. There's a little pitting here just kind of like there was on the intake manifold, which I don't think is terrible, but just to have a little extra protection against leaks. I'm going to fast forward us to the end here. We're just putting some goop on the thermostat housing. All right. Now, I'm not a Snap-on person. Can't afford them. But my father-in-law passed away several years ago, and he was kind of a tool hound. And when he passed away, they were trying to get ready to sell his house. Nobody wanted the tools, really. And so I said, well, I'll take them. And I ended up with a bunch of really nice tools. Not a lot of metric, though. But he did have a complete set of Snap-on metric sockets and a ratchet. All right, there we go. So one more piece of the puzzle. Next, we need to get this plumbing part for the cooling system cleaned up and painted. So I'm going to blast it here, and it'll be a little loud. So enjoy the ASMR portion of the show. All right, we're going to paint this. This is the Duplicolor. It's the Universal Flat Black. I really like this paint. It seems to stick a little better. This flat especially looks really nice, and it covers really well. So anyways, they're not a sponsor or anything. I don't have any sponsors. But it does look nice, and it levels out real good, and it seems a lot stronger, stiffer than just regular old spray paint, but I don't know. Somebody will probably tell me I'm wrong. There you go. She's a beauty. She's buried way down in the bottom of the engine bay. Nobody will ever see her, but she's going to look good down there. So. All right, so the next thing I want to do is turn that rotor around 180 degrees. It's exactly opposite of where it needs to be. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is lift this straight out, and it should turn a little bit. And then I'm going to, wherever it lands, I'm going to flip it around, and it should be pointing, I think, just basically at this bolt here, I think. So let me try this now. I like that one right there. I think that's probably pretty good. So that should be pointing almost perfectly at number one. We know we're at top dead center. The lifters are loose, so we should be in a pretty good shape there. So I'm going to button that back down, and we can move on to the next thing, making some progress here. All right, let's do this real quick. I'm not going to try to get a setup in here. Just going to show you this. So this is a brand new fan. Still got the tag on it, so it looks like I stole it. And got a brand new some clutch in here. And so we're going to put this on first, and then we're going to get the radiator holder on, and then we're going to put the shroud on, and I'm still debating on that radiator, but let's get this on. I'm not sure that that actually fits right. Let me show you what I got. There's a gap right there, and it doesn't seem like it wants to close. Oh. Okay. What does Derek say? Mistakes were made, right? I forgot to put the pulley on here, which is kind of important. Kind of can't turn the fan, the alternator and water pump and all that if you don't have the pulley on. All right, so I'm going to crouch down here and show you this. So this is that duplicolor paint, and that's like not even really trying to get it smooth. It really looks nice. It looks so nice I forgot about it. I didn't want to put it on the car. So all right, let's try this again with the right parts on in the right order. So there's that, and there's this. And wow, does that fit a lot better now. That looks a lot better. All right, I'm not going to make you suffer through me tighten up bolts here twice in a row. So I'll finish this up, and next we're going to put in the radiator holder, which just has a couple bolts. It's really simple to put in, so we'll be right back. All right, so we have the fan shroud here, which, by the way, this is a pretty rare part as well. These are really hard to find usually. I don't know why. I think because they rust out. This one's actually got some pitting at the bottom. But, you throw a little powder coat on there and it all looks better, right? So we got to put that on. I think we have to put that on first because I think that the fan's in the way otherwise. Or we have to put them on together, I guess. And then, not very exciting, but this is the radiator holder. It's just got 2 bolts at the bottom, and it's got a couple of these little pads that you put underneath there. All this stuff is surprisingly still available from Toyota, although I got these from SOR. When you're buying little parts like this and choose the USPS shipping option, they're pretty good. And also, they can sometimes have a little better pictures, so you kind of know what you're going to get. And I'm pretty sure these are OEM versions of this. I don't think they're aftermarket. So anyways, I'm going to put these on. It won't take too terribly long. And she'll start looking like an engine bay here all of a sudden. So let's do that next. All right, let's finish this up. We'll try to finish up strong. All right. So first things first, I need to put this on and get this ready. Now the first question is, which one? Which side is up? I think it's this side. There's less rust on that one. Oh, backwards. There goes this way. All right. I'm just going to hang that there. Very interesting too. Like, see how there's no gap here? It's like basically right up against the edge. Over here we got all kinds of room. And the engine is over to one side. Kind of strange. I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Just seems odd. All right, this is up. It goes up here. And like that. And this is what happens when you get this powder coated in 2016 or 17, and then you paint this in 2024. They don't quite match. So, but that's all right. I think once we get all the bits and pieces on, that is backwards, by the way. So I'm going to flip that around. We'll fix that in post. Edit that up so it looks like I knew what I was doing when I didn't. All right. So now I'm going to try to get these under here from the top, which I think is going to be hard, but I don't really feel like crawling underneath here tonight, but maybe we'll have to. So let's give it a try though. A friend of mine asked me if I was going to be a YouTube star, and I kind of laughed. I'd be happy if a few of my Land Cruiser buddies watch my videos. So, but they've been fun for me to do so far. All right, I'm going to put us in light speed here while I crawl underneath there. I don't want you to watch me wallering around down there. All right, there we go. We're out of light speed. So that got that. And I'm just going to tighten these down. So let's recap what we did today. So we got the thermostat housing on, we got the fan and the fan clutch on, and the fan pulley. We started to work on the radiator, getting it ready. Although again, I'm having second thoughts. I'm going to go look at some. Well, it's in fact been a week since I was able to make it back down to Land Cruiser Lane, but a couple of exciting things have happened. Number one, got the comb over cut. And number two, a radiator just showed up in the mail kind of out of the blue. And boy, that's really helpful, because I looked at some of the other radiators I had and they're just not all that great. So, and kind of unlike a starter or an alternator, you don't really want to change a radiator out kind of right after you do a rebuild, right? So it's worth the extra money to just get it in here and be able to just check it off the box and know that it's going to work for us. Now, we do have a bunch of other things on our list, so we're going to start going through those now. So first things first, I got the starter back in. I used the same starter. It was working fine when I got the truck. And again, if it doesn't work for us, it's pretty easy to change out. So I just went ahead and installed that. Next, we have the alternator. I put this in as well. Again, nothing very exciting here. It's just a few bolts. Put it in. I also put the belt on there and snug the belt down. So that's ready to go. Now, at some point in time, we have kind of a funky plug back here, and they gave me an adapter for it. So we're going to have to see if that works. But for right now, just for the installation, again, just kind of getting it done. The next thing on the list is the cooling hoses. So I got I'd say about 50% of those done. I have a lot of them in and tightened down, but I am missing a few things. And we're just going to go ahead and run it back to the firewall and then just kind of cap it off. We won't put the heater in, at least to start. There's a million South American FJ40s out there without heaters, so we'll probably be all right. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. A little bit abbreviated today, but again, not too exciting to put a starter in, not too exciting to get an alternator in, or even the cooling lines. Those are just things you kind of have to do, right? The radiator, also just no restoration needed. We just slipped it in and bolted it down. For anybody who's wondering, this is a Rock Auto radiator that it's a 4-row, so it has a little more capacity. So someday if I get air conditioning or something in here like that, something awesome, then it'll be ready to hopefully cool that down a little better. So, but thanks for watching.